I wonder if I should do more content with my face in it now that I've done a face reveal. Oh, what if I made a TikTok account? This is definitely not a plug, what are you talking about? So, Underrooms is a game that I'm working on in Godot, and in the last video I said I had my work cut out for me. Little did I know how much I had jinxed myself in that very moment. Apparently, it's extremely difficult to find anything Undertale related when it comes to Godot tutorials, so I'm learning everything myself from the ground up, which is, you know, just a little bit really fucking difficult. Right now, I'm at the stage where I'm still programming a lot of the mechanics for the game, and this is the most tedious and difficult part of making games, and where many people get burnt out and give up. Of course, I'll try to get past this stage as quickly as possible without needing to rush anything, but I don't think it'll be easy. I made a Trello list with all of the mechanic tests and gameplay elements I need to make the bones of the game. Step 2 is to create the sprites and tile sets for the maps. Step 3 is to create the maps and story, and finally Step 4 is animations, extra art, and final touches. I plan on releasing a demo for the game hopefully before the end of 2026, but please take that with a grain of salt, I really suck at predicting release dates. I think we should start with something simple, like a dialogue system. Obviously, this has to be easy, it's so common in a lot of 2D games, right? So yeah, that was a fucking mistake. Apparently, there are a lot of ways to make a dialogue system in Godot, and none of them are the same. At one point, I almost decided to use a dialogue plugin to make it easier, but I decided I wanted to make it myself, so I found a tutorial from a few years ago and tried following along. However, I did not realize that the tutorial was made in Godot 3. I'm using Godot 4. So yeah, a ton of the code was outdated and straight up didn't work. Fortunately though, there were a lot of comments under the video that helped a ton with the conversion process, but I still had to do a lot by myself. But after a few days of work, yes, a few days, I finally got a working dialogue test going, and it was pretty good. Essentially, all I did was code the system to where there were 3 states. One for checking the dialogue, one for reading dialogue, and one for when the dialogue was done displaying. Under each state, I had an if statement that would check for player inputs, such as Z for displaying the next line of dialogue, and X for skipping dialogue lines. Now, I had to change the code quite a bit to get it working in other scenes, but it worked out really well in the end, and I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. Well, we have a dialogue system now, but there's currently no way to trigger it, so let's make an interaction system. This should be easy enough, right? I really need to start doing research before I start on something. So, the interaction system was kinda difficult, but definitely more straightforward than the dialogue system was. There's 2 components, the interaction area, which is connected to the player and actively checks for interactable objects, and then there are the interactable objects, which are connected to items, NPCs, whatever you need the player to interact with. Cool, now we have an interaction system, but how can we use this to display dialogue? Since the dialogue is in its own scene, we can't call functions from that script from any other scene scripts. However, we can use a thing called autoloads. Now, autoloads are pretty cool. They allow you to call a certain signal bus from any script you need to. So all I had to do was make the entire script an autoload, and now we can call any function from that script that we need to by using the signal bus. Putting a signal bus into a script will automatically add that scene into your object, so there's no need to add the dialogue scene into each individual room, which is pretty neat. I just made a quick interaction test and placed it into my overworld movement scene. Now, of course, the dialogue system isn't perfect, but this will definitely work for now as an early test. There was also an issue where the dialogue would display just fine, but you could still move around and interact with objects while dialogue was being displayed. So I just made it so that anytime dialogue was being displayed, it would pause every other scene in the game, making it so that not only you could not move, but you couldn't interact with the same object again while dialogue was being displayed. So it killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I made it pause everything except for the camera, so that way the camera smoothing could still go on while everything else was paused. Anywho, now that we have more story-driven parts of the game done with, I think it's time we start story crafting. Now, of course, I'm not gonna spoil the story, so I'll just give you a brief synopsis. You're a regular person who no-clipped into the back rooms, only a week before your 16th birthday, which is a big part of this game's narrative. Obviously, you need to find a way back to Earth, by any means necessary. This also sets up the motivation, as you're willing to do anything to get back, even if that includes killing anything that gets in your way. With each level you discover, you're one step closer to getting your ending, good or bad. That's the very basic story, and it goes a lot deeper than that, but you won't know until the game gets released. The demo will consist of level 0 in the hub, which will be the main level for the early game. Now, this game will definitely have a story, but it won't be as linear as Undertale, allowing you to play most of the early game levels in whatever order you want. Well, we have a story, so I'm going to start on some sprites and pixel art so I can make some early maps and get a solid gameplay concept going. So, I made a simple but more detailed tile set for level 0, and I also made an animated player sprite sheet, which is... yeah, you caught me, it's just a recolor of Frisk. I'm not a fucking artist, so this'll have to work for now. I made a simple starting room for the game, and added the player, and a proper interactable, which is an arrow on the floor. I also added new dialogue to the start, and this gives a bit more perspective into the playable character, and how confused they must be to just have woken up inside the backrooms. I think this game is coming along pretty well, and the bones for the game are almost finished. The main mechanics I still need to make are room change transitions, a save and load system, along with a way to reset your progress, and a proper battle system. I also need to finish the overworld menu, but I think I'll do it a bit differently than other Undertale fan games. And once I finish those main mechanics, the game will be ready for maps, sound effects, music, story, and so much more. Trust me guys, you will not be disappointed with the game. Even the demo should have 40 minutes to an hour of gameplay. Speaking of which, I'm going to answer some questions some people will most likely have about the game. First of all, Underrooms will most likely consist of about 14 to 18 levels, with a lot of lore, story, gameplay, and much more. Obviously, this is just the early concept, and things will most likely change, but this is what I'm going for at the moment. As for what the demo will be released on, I'm planning on releasing the game for Windows and Android. Now, releasing the game on Android of all things might seem weird, but it's more of a personal problem for me. I know what it's like to not be able to play a game because you have old hardware, or perhaps not even a computer at all, so releasing the game as an APK helps people who can't afford a computer play the game. If I'm lucky, I might even be able to make a mobile build of the game with touchscreen controls and release it on the Play Store, which would be amazing. Also, I probably won't release the game for Mac or iOS because fuck Apple, Android for life, baby! No, but seriously, from what research I've done, releasing a game on any Apple product is really hard, so I probably won't do it. If you have any questions about the game, I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. Now, I'm not gonna lie, my skills are getting pretty close to maxing out at this point, and I'm not sure where to go from here. I'm a programmer, not an artist or composer, so I'm definitely gonna need some help with some game aspects that I won't be able to do myself. So, I'm gonna make a Discord server for this game, and when the next devlog video drops, I'll put a link in the description for it as well. Well, I think that's gonna be about it for this one. If you want to stay up to date with the game's progress, like the video and subscribe. And if you haven't already, watch the first devlog video I made on this game. I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye!